Our next speaker's career has spanned over 3 decades of business, research and art practice. Her deep interest in the process of innovation, creativity and discovery has led her to be a strong leader and passionate visionary. Ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by ICT Geelong and Skilling the Bay, please welcome to the stage CEO and founder of iAccelerate, Elizabeth Eastland.
Okay. Well, good morning, and thank you all very much for being here today. It's just a great topic. Just how disruptive has digital technology made our worlds? And we've witnessed an amazing transformation, and I would say especially so in the last 5 years. For example, in just those 5 years, there is 7 times as much data as there was 5 years previously. And the projection is between 2009 and 2020 that will grow 44 times in size. So on the one hand, this can be overwhelming. On the other, there's an incredible opportunity. The challenge is, how can we use digital technology to realize our deepest ambitions? And that's the topic of my presentation today. I'm Elizabeth Eastland. I'm the CEO and founder of iAccelerate, and I'm also the Director of Innovation and Commercial Research at the University of Wollongong. Today I'm going to talk to you about how the digital revolution has impacted our world in the Illawarra and how we've exploited it to launch a world-class, internationally recognized incubator called iAccelerate. And then I want to explore how the startup companies within iAccelerate have used this digital disruption to bring their ideas into reality. iAccelerate, we like to say, accelerates innovation, and we do that by providing creative frameworks, an education program, and a space for companies to come together and to work together in particularly innovative ways. Our tagline is invent, share, change the world. And to explore this in a little bit of detail, I want to share the journey of 3 particular companies: a gaming company with a difference, a boutique yoga experience, and a company that allows you to share your most cherished memories with somebody that you love. All of these come from passionate entrepreneurs exploiting the digital technology, emerging from the digital ecosystem, and establishing themselves in their own ecological niche. iAccelerate is the University of Wollongong's Innovation Accelerator. And we're located on the university's innovation campus, which is on the coast, as you can see here, of Wollongong. Wollongong itself is part of the Illawarra, which is a region just south of Sydney. It extends down to Kiama and the Shoalhaven, and it's bounded on the west by the escarpment. We have about 450,000 people in the Illawarra, so very similar to Geelong. Illawarra means beautiful place by the sea in the local Darwal tongue, and indeed it is utterly spectacular. For the last century, the region has been exploited for its rich mineral resources and its capacity to transform this into steel and to export it globally. Coal mines were established in the 1800s, and shortly after, BHP was established at Port Kembla, commencing a long history of steel production, which was the engine of growth in the Illawarra for many decades. In fact, the University of Wollongong itself emerged from this industrial past in the 1950s, and not surprisingly, we currently have strengths in engineering, metallurgy, material science, chemistry, geography, environmental science, and many other sciences. But perhaps not dissimilar to Geelong, the economic landscape is changing. For some time now, the region has experienced profound economic challenges, culminating in thousands of layoffs and a significant reduction in local output. With the global financial crisis and now the downturn in China's appetite for coal and steel, there are further layoffs at BlueScope, and in fact, I think there are some announcements today or tomorrow which are further layoffs. This is a photograph of the Port Kembla copper stack, which came down collapsing last year. It was collapsed by dynamite. But it's not just physical infrastructure that's breaking down, but the social fabric of the town is being slowly unraveled. Unemployment is one of our most pressing issues. We have statistics that are 2% above the national average and much, much higher in the youth sector. So when I came to the university in 2010, I was very, very perplexed by what I saw was a paradox. In that year, the University of Wollongong graduated the highest number of computer science graduates in the whole of Australia. Today, we sit at number 2 or 3. Each year that goes by, we share that position up there in the top 2 or 3 positions. But at the time, and still is, it's the most sought-after skill in the Australian market. We have a 5-star rating for employability for our graduates. Our graduates come from the region and they love the region, but they must leave the region to gain employment. What I couldn't understand was what was stopping them from innovating, starting their own companies, and forming an ecosystem around the Illawarra. It didn't make sense to me. I've spent 25 years in the high-tech world in international clusters from all over the world. I've worked in and visited many, from Research Triangle Park in the southern states in the US, to Paris with their fiber optic cluster, Montreal, their language cluster in Nuns Island, Berlin, of course, is a huge startup center right now, Waterloo in Canada, the most innovative city in Canada, 21 years in a row, Otaniemi in Finland, the most amazing technology cluster in Northern Europe, Silicon Valley, of course, I've visited many times and worked there, and Sydney itself, a huge cluster for innovation, particularly now and in the 90s in telecoms. From these clusters came companies that grew from nothing into giants. I've seen the emergence of transformational technologies and their deployment throughout the world. So I've seen what can happen inside these clusters when business, government, and research work together to develop these clusters and make this transformation happen. So in the face of this economic demise, and to support what I saw was an untapped potential in our student and alumni base and the local talent that existed in the Illawarra, the University of Wollongong backed my vision of iAccelerate, which 5 years ago was just an idea. Today, it's a program that includes mentorship, funding, education, a shared space for companies to grow, numerous opportunities for networking, and we held our iAccelerate annual pitch event just last week. In 2013, we competed for and were awarded $16.5 million from a highly competitive round of funding from the New South Wales government. And this money has allowed us to build the iAccelerate Centre, which is an artist impression of what you say here. It's opening in 6 months. And this is so that we can grow from our current 70-seat space to a 280-seat space, purpose-built for startups and entrepreneurial fast-growth companies. It will be, and it already is, a lightning rod for innovation, entrepreneurship, and investment in the Illawarra. Just over a year ago, we launched a very successful education program around startups. And in September last year, we won an international award for entrepreneurial universities in Madrid, Spain. As of today, we have supported over 56 companies. Those companies have grown 116 new jobs, and we've launched companies who came into our startup accelerator with just an idea, with valuations of over $13 million and an international footprint. So how has what I've called the digital Cambrian explosion been the foundation on which iAccelerate and its residents' companies have thrived? The Cambrian explosion refers to a point in our evolutionary history, about 524 million years ago, when there was an amazing explosion of animal forms. Before this time, the world was largely awash with one-celled animals that were awash in the Cambrian Sea, just bumping into food and consuming it. They had some rudimentary sense like smell, but that was about it. And then, during a relatively short period in evolutionary time periods, which is about 20 to 25 million years, there was this huge explosion of animal forms. And during this time, 23 out of the 24 animal phyla that we have today emerged. Fossil records just show just how experimental this explosion was, and these are some artist impressions of the fossils that we've found since then. There are many theories about what caused this explosion. In 2014, Professor Andrew Parker, who's a researcher at Oxford University, published his theory in a fascinating book called In the Blink of an Eye, which I highly recommend if you're interested in it. And his theory is that it was actually the evolution of the eye that sparked the Cambrian explosion. He estimated it could take as little as 350,000 generations to actually evolve the eye. And this is what caused the emergence of all of the new forms. Because if you think about it, as the eye evolved, so did the capacity for animals to seek out and find food instead of just bumping into it. His theory is this is what caused the predator-prey relationship, which in turn caused the emergence of all sorts of new animal technologies, I like to call them. If you were a predator, you needed to develop teeth. If you were the prey, you needed to develop an exoskeleton or spines to protect yourself. As eyes developed, of course, so did the need to camouflage, or alternatively, develop bold colors that would make you look bigger than you were, or dangerous, or perhaps even poisonous. The more capabilities, the more diversity. One technology essentially fed another, which is what an ecosystem is all about. Interdependency and networks being critical in virtuous cycles that continue to innovate in their forms. Now, many of these experiments failed and died off, like the incredibly innovative 5-eared creature you here see in the upper left. But many, however, became the foundation for life today as we know it. Now, anyone familiar with the startup world will resonate with this explosion. We're experiencing this same kind of explosion of technologies, which in turn become the foundation or impetus for new technologies. Material technologies have given birth to data storage and communications capabilities. Increased processing speed allows for and even demands innovative computer software languages. Communications technology, of course, allows for mobility, and all of this has driven the exploding market for apps, some of which have disrupted major infrastructure that has been taken for granted just a couple of years ago. And for example, not to overuse it, but in just 5 years, Uber has disrupted an entire industry, caused major regulatory uproar, and has a valuation estimated at over $50 billion. So the current explosion of different kinds of technologies have given birth to all sorts of new business models, and these companies are akin to the myriad of forms emerging from the Cambrian Sea. Just as an example, these are some of the many companies that we have and are still supporting at iAccelerate. They're disrupting industries and using a massive variety of technology. Some of the technologies, just to name just a few: geomapping, water system architectures, location-based storytelling, sustainable CAD/CAM housing, campus utility systems, 3D printing, and on it goes. The diversity contributes directly to the strength and to the resilience of the local economy, and that's what iAccelerate is all about. And it's digital disruption that has allowed this. Today, startups can launch companies on a rapid scale, unprecedented. And they do that by all sorts of rapid capabilities, whether rapid software development or prototyping tools such as 3D printing, or indirectly, using the internet and communications, because if you don't have a skill inside your company, you can always outsource it. And of course, the internet allows for ubiquitous and global distribution channels. But at iAccelerate, we haven't just stopped at technology diversity. We've also included gender diversity as a critical platform on which we have thrived from our very beginning. We've always said we're going to grow twice as fast as any other ecosystem in the world because we have a very deliberate outreach to female entrepreneurs. It's embedded in our mission and in every action. We've launched a myriad of groundbreaking initiatives, including gender balance in all of our speakers, and I really congratulate Pivot for involving women today. It's been fantastic to be so welcomed and so respected. We have gender balance in all of our pitch panels, in all of our application intake panels. We have a remarkable kids entrepreneurship club that allows parents to drop their kids off when we have networking events. And we have our cult following around our Women's Entrepreneurial Breakfast series. And we don't do this just for social reasons, although we do it for social reasons, but it makes economic sense. Research supports having women shareholders, having women co-founders, it significantly increases the chances of startup success. And this is just as gender diversified boards increase large corporate success. As I said, we set out to grow our ecosystem twice as fast as any other because we deliberately outreach to women. And typically, women have been eliminated from this ecosystem. Certainly in 2010, there were very few women participating. And this outreach has worked. Today, I'm incredibly proud to say that 47% of our companies resident in iAccelerate have female co-founders, and I have never seen this statistic before in any other incubator, and we have done that without sacrificing any quality whatsoever. And the male co-founders like it just as much. After all, they say, half of their market, half of their client base are often women. They want to know what they think. And so we've developed this very, very rich, diversified technology and gender peer group at iAccelerate. Strong female participation has also made iAccelerate as a program much stronger. And I'll explain how. Our education program is based on lean startup methodologies and the importance of engaging very deeply with your customers to test ideas out early, as you heard Brian talk about. Incredibly important, and I'm sure Jodi's going to speak about that later. We've always held that iAccelerate itself was a startup. And in fact, I think that's how we have grown so quickly. And one of the things that we learned from our customers, especially with the number of female co-founders, is the challenge of launching a company without a technical background. Many of you, I hope, are aware that there are a paucity of women in the STEM disciplines, which science, technology, engineering, and maths, but particularly so in computer science, which is my own background. As a case in point, in 1985, yes it was, in Montreal, I graduated one of two women in my computer science program. As a case in point, in 2010, in the year that University of Wollongong graduated the highest number of computer science graduates, guess what? 5% of the graduating class were women. It was the same percentage as when I graduated. There is a significant problem. If you're not a software engineer, and yet you have a fabulous idea, it's well thought through, you've tested your ideas with your customer base, how do you develop your early minimum viable product and get it out there and start testing it? And so that's when we launched, with our peer group of companies, MVP for Dummies. Now, this is a course that unpacks a vision that a founder might have and step by step discusses all of the tools already existing in the marketplace that a founder can use to build and test their product early. This is a discussion that's led by founders, and all the founders contribute to its success. It was so successful the first time we ran it that we ran it twice, just 2 months later. And what was remarkable was in just those 2 months, how many new products there were on the market, how many new ways those products were being used by just our peer community, and how they used them to further develop their products and services. It's very, very clear. There is no one source of knowledge. Knowledge is impermanent today, and it's distributed in the network. And that becomes critical. Community sharing with each other is critical to accelerate innovation. And it's critical to any ecosystem. So now I want to share the journey of 3 very different companies, all who have participated in the MVP for Dummies movement at iAccelerate, sharing their abilities with all of the other companies around them, but learning rapidly from each other, and show how they've used the explosion of digital technologies to turn their ideas into reality so quickly. Now, the first company I want to talk about is Beer Mogul Games, who launched a remarkable new strategy game called Formula Legend. The founder of the company, Nathan Harper, is a huge Formula One fan, and so are a lot of people. Together, they spend over 13 billion euros annually on the sport. But what's particularly interesting to Nathan is that there's even a more fanatical following around motorsport strategy, and that's his passion too. For those of you who are not familiar, and I wasn't, because the technology inside the cards is so similar, it's actually the strategy of how the driving team is managed that will make or break a win. When to come into a pit stop, how to drive the car, when to rotate tires, how much fuel to put in, all of these contribute much more to the success of the team than the technology itself. And that's why there's such a following around strategy. However, Nathan discovered there was very little to offer these people in the form of gaming, and he saw an unmet need. He wanted to develop a mobile game, but without any racing. So he was able to combine his 2 passions of strategy game and Formula One racing, and that's when he launched Formula Legend. So this is a game that's completely unique. It's the only mobile Formula One management simulation on the market. But much more than that, it's remarkable because it has an unusually engaged and loyal audience. The mobile games market is typically dominated by single-shot games that peak quickly and fade away to be replaced by the next hit. Microsoft has estimated that the average return to any app developer is only $2,500. But Formula Legend is radically different. While it hasn't hit the Angry Bird status, when I visited Finland, it was earning $2 million a day in in-app purchases, which was more income per employee than any other company in the world at any point in history. It hasn't quite hit that status, but Formula Legend has now over 250,000 downloads. It has an average session length of time playing 3 times the industry average, and player retention is well above industry average. The game has struck a chord and proven that it's sustainable with audiences on an ongoing and growing way. It's now in 11 languages, with the game's biggest followers in Spain, in the UK, and Germany. So what's Nathan's story? In fact, at first glance, he seems like a typical geeky startup. He's highly experienced CTO. He's got over 18 years' experience in systems development, building large software-as-a-service products. He'd started out in a typical geeky lean startup way by starting to test his user base. He began writing a blog about motorsport strategy. This garnered a lot of interest, and using his followers, he tested out the idea of a game on motorsport strategy using a survey. His response that he got was good. He used a whiteboard, that's his favorite technical tool. He storyboarded the project, as Brian talked about. He mocked it up with various digital tools, such as Mockup and Balsamic. He discussed it with designers and outsourced this via Freelancer. And he was testing this all the time with this fanatical following that he had started to get on his blogs. And finding that he got such positive feedback, he was able to, using his own technical skills, develop his first MVP fairly rapidly. And his game came out with minimal features. But that's not where Nathan stopped. The most unique aspect to Nathan's success is the fact that he collaborates with his fans during the game to develop future features. He uses a digital tool called User Voice to engage his community during the game to contribute ideas and to decide the order of new development. He actually garners this feedback during the game. User Voice is a tool that allows Nathan to plug in a banner at the side of the game to be accessed at any time during the game when emotion is running high. And they can do this without even exiting the game. So from this, Nathan is able to get a list of the most desired new features in his product. But User Voice allows for even more. All of his community can then vote on the best ideas that everyone else has contributed. And this allows Nathan to do 2 things. Of course, it allows him to prioritize the development of his new features, but I think, and he thinks as well, most importantly, it allows him to engage with his audience in a way that they haven't experienced before. Anyone who's developed a game knows how critical user ratings are to its continued success. Formula Legend has continued to receive positive reviews and has over 10,000 consistent ratings. Nathan is quite certain that it's the engagement that he has with his fans during the game that has allowed him to nimbly respond to their suggestions that has created the consistently positive feedback that he receives on the game. They know that they're being listened to. And this gives Nathan also the confidence to be extremely experimental and cutting edge, because he can respond immediately to customers' feedback. And when he builds something that they don't like, he responds quickly. This engagement permeates the product suite that Nathan is building out around the game. He's building his own ecosystem. One of Nathan's most recent strategies is to deepen fans' engagement even further via a podcast, where he interviews strategy commentators after key Formula One events from around the world. I'm just going to give you a little flavor of what those podcasts sound like. Leith, if you could play the audio.
Hey, welcome to the Formula Legend F1 Strategy Report for Race 1 2015, the Australian Grand Prix. For Race 2, the Malaysian Grand Prix. Race 3 of 2015, the Chinese Grand Prix, the Bahrain Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix, the Monaco Grand Prix, the Canadian Grand Prix. Hi, I'm Nathan from Formula Legend, and I'm joined today on the F1 Strategy Report by Paul Velasco from GrandPrix247.com. Joined today on the line, direct from Japan, by Michael Laminato from Boxer Neutrals. And I'm joined today on the line from Italy by Luca Manicorda from FormulaPassion.it. Welcome, Luca.
Hi, Nata. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for joining me. I know you've had a very busy week.
So you can see how Nathan is making his products very, very consumer-centric. They're at the top of his pyramid. And this creates an authenticity that is so critical to his loyal following. Next, I want to share the journey of a company called Stretch and Glow, which is an online boutique yoga experience. It's a yoga oasis for busy mums. But it wasn't always positioned in the market like this. It was through constant contact with her community that Deb Young, the founder of Stretch and Glow, realized that this, in fact, was her market. For those of you who don't know it, yoga is a phenomenal growth industry. In the US alone, it's a $28 billion industry with over 12 million participants spending well over $1,000 each year. And this is growing by 20% per annum. For the last 10 years, Deb and her partner have founded and grown a typical bricks-and-mortar yoga studio. Deb is also a longtime doula practitioner. I don't know if you knew what that was. I also didn't. A doula is somebody who offers emotional, non-medical birth support to women before and during pregnancy. Deb herself is also a mother of 2, so she knows firsthand what mums need during this process. And from this experience, she has developed a very special series of yoga courses designed for pregnant women. She has a fanatical following of loyal fans, but her catchment area was always limited by geography. Of course, pregnant mums could only drive so far to her yoga class. And moreover, what Deb noticed was those women who needed yoga the most stopped coming to yoga classes. This is Donna, a real customer of hers. She's age 33 with 1 child and another one on the way. Her parents live out of town. Her husband works shifts. And it was this that inspired Deb to launch an online course for pregnant women, but a course with a difference. Unlike her competitors who have membership-driven products, she takes her customers on a journey as they progress through pregnancy. In May 2014, Deb joined iAccelerate. Although Deb had absolutely no technical expertise herself in IT or web development, using tools that are already available for the layperson online and iAccelerate sort of framework for lean methodologies, she built her website, surveyed her customers, built customer lists, provided a platform to reserve courses, and played online content. So she was able to build and iteratively test her product in just over 3 months. The response rate was terrific. Within 1 month, she got 400 signups, and her conversion rate was 33%, which is very high for a premium conversion. But she noticed something that she hadn't expected. Despite the fact that the content that she had developed was designed for pregnant women, it was not mostly pregnant women that were using her app, but rather busy mums who already had children, too busy to come, but craving the yoga time to themselves. And this was a light bulb moment for Deb. This is where she's now heading. She's used the last 6 months to build up her content for busy mums and is now ready to launch her full product suite. The mums that are online that are using her original premium offer are forming a community. And Deb is learning many other lessons about deepening that experience. She's experimenting with live streaming, webinars, and other ways to reach out to her community in real time, which is strengthening that online personality so critical to fitness apps. She's also developing an extended product offering, a smorgasbord of information for busy mums, and her customers keep growing. So I'm going to give you a sneak preview of one of her online courses. This course is just a 5-minute short interval for busy mums. I'm only going to play the first 45 seconds or so. I'll go to sleep. Leith, can you play it?
is a 5-minute neck and shoulder releasing sequence. This sequence is an amazing sequence for pre or postnatal ladies. Particularly new mums, they'll really benefit from this, just from all the additional stresses through the shoulders and the upper back involved with carrying and feeding, nursing a newborn baby. So I hope you enjoy the sequence today, and feel free to share it with any friends that might benefit from this sequence as well. So we're going to start by just taking a comfortable...
So before you all start enjoying stretching, I'm going to move on. But I wanted to point out some of the lessons that Deb has learned. First of all, you can see how she's broadened her market base. She's moved beyond just pregnant women to early mums. She's using a powerful promotional tool, word of mouth. You heard how she said, please share this with your friends. Well, when women are pregnant, they get together with other pregnant women a lot of the time, and they go to classes together, and word of mouth becomes one of their most trusted source for promotion. You can see that her personality is coming through in the video. It's not highly edited. She's at home in a very restful environment, which is also where her users are going to be. This creates that intimate experience with her viewers that she also had in person with them in the studio, in the yoga studio. But I would argue it's perhaps even more intimate. In a nutshell, Deb is strengthening her product offering by responding to and strengthening her community and the ecosystem around it. So finally, I want to share Jared and Zena's story. Jared and Zena Kells are a brother and sister co-founder team behind Just Called to Say, which is a company that allows you to say I love you in a very special way. Jared, in fact, is one of the founding members of iAccelerate's first and now fastest growing startup, Critical Arc. Critical Arc is a campus security system which is now deployed throughout the world. 3 years ago, Critical Arc came into iAccelerate, as I said earlier, with just an idea. Today, the company finalized their second round and has a valuation of over $13 million. Jared himself is passionate about technology and lists online just some of his specialties as C#, Hibernate, Ask.NET, MVC, Signal R, Castle Windsor, Mono, Knockout.js, jQuery, Bootstrap, and so on. Not surprisingly, his nickname is Jarhead. Despite this self-description, he is one of the most affectionate and supportive people I have ever met. As an example, the first app that he personally developed, which went viral, I will say, is his I Love You app that allows your phone to vibrate every time your partner is thinking about you. It's free. Download it if you love somebody and you want to. His baby sister, Zena, is an audio producer and digital designer, and she has a background in storytelling, audio production for the ABC and other local radio. Now, both of them were very inspired by their mom's joy of giving presents. Zena was originally trained in and worked in theater, which is a very visual medium. But as she says to me, once she discovered the power of audio, she never went back. To quote the poet Longfellow, the human voice is the organ of the soul. It was this power of audio that became the key to allow Zena to scale up her passion of gift giving. In July this year, Jared and Zena launched Just Called to Say. It's a photo album, perhaps of voice messages to a loved one, or a collection of memories about a person as told by all of their favorite people. It turns the organ of the heart, the voice, into a gift. Just very quickly, here's how it worked. Loved ones all get a telephone number to call and a particular question to answer, such as, what is your favorite memory of this person? All the callers on the list, family, friends, colleagues, ring the number and leave a message. The messages are then packaged up into a gift and sent to the loved one. The gifts are packaged with a little humor, references to technologies long gone. It sounds simple, but it wasn't quite that simple. Technically and artistically, Zena and Jared had to work together and bring their artistic and technical skills together. To design the engine of the product, Jared used a telephone API called Twilio, which allowed him to program as if he were developing his own telephone system. Zena then used other digital tools for the website, for payments, for web hosting, and social media. Most importantly, from an artistic perspective, Zena curates the voice. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste for what this is like. These were recordings for a mother who is dying. Imagine that you are she, a mother of 7, a grandmother and a great-grandmother to many. She's in her 90s and she's living with cancer. These messages were a way for her family to share some of their favorite memories with her and tell her how much they loved her. If you could play it, Lee.
Welcome to the Just Called to Say voicemail box for Joan. There are 3 new messages.
Hello to the most beautiful person in the world, my mother. I would like to tell you that you are the constant in my life. Mum, I thank you for all of your wisdom. I am the luckiest 7th child to have you and call you my mother. Mothers are meant to be there for you, and I can truly say you have always been there for me. I love you so much, and am so happy to have you as my mum. I love you, Mum. God bless.
Next message.
Hey Ma, it's Bob. Just thought I could ring and let you know that I absolutely love being your son-in-law. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Love you. Bye-bye.
Final message.
Hi Grandma, it's Caitlin here. I guess one thing that I love about you is that you're always laughing. You have this wonderful loud laugh, and once you start laughing you make everyone else around you laugh as well. And you always end your laugh by saying, dearie me. Oh, I love it. Anyway, I guess I just wanted to say I love you and I miss you. Bye.
End of messages.
And the gift does not end there. The feedback that Zena is getting from her clients have shown her how emotionally powerful it was to receive the gift. She's using this feedback to continue to develop new products, new features on her product. The next one she's developing will allow all of those who are receiving the gift to tweet their thanks to those who sent the message. This starts to build community. Callers to the loved one experience the gift themselves, and Zena can use this in hoping this will allow them to be inspired to send compositions to their friends and loved ones, creating a viral marketing approach. So she too is creating an ecosystem, a community of engaged and caring customers whom she cares about and literally listens to. So in summary, each of these companies that I have spoken to you about is very different, but their story has some very significant commonalities. All of them have a real passion to do what they're doing. They're pursuing something that they loved. And this gives them a deep understanding of their client, empathy. And this has allowed them to create a solution for their clients' needs. And this, in turn, has given them a deep, clear understanding of who they are and what they're bringing to the world. They were also what I would call very technically astute. They used the technology that they had available to them. When they didn't have it, they asked for help. And what they didn't get help around, they outsourced. They listened and they were nimble. They responded to their clients' needs and the feedback that they got from their clients as the product entered the market. And most importantly, they created an ecosystem of support and of clients. They shared with each other and they grew grew much more rapidly because of this. And the community and direct customer feedback gave them something else, confidence. They were able to be very experimental and cutting edge. They just jumped in. So I hope that you've enjoyed the stories that I've shared with you. One of the things that I'm most proud of at iAccelerate is the culture that we have created around sharing. It's something that I hope I haven't stressed too much. Nobody knows everything. You must share to develop. And when you do, you grow faster, but you also experience the thrill of helping others develop and launch their businesses. So if you yourself do not belong to an accelerator and you want to launch your own company, call upon your friends and colleagues. You'll be surprised at how much they know and how much you have to share with them. Develop peer-to-peer learning sessions. Form learning clusters around specific topics. Continuously test. Listen to your customers. Innovate and share. You will change the world. Finally, I just want to acknowledge, of course, the founders who helped me create this presentation and my wonderful team, Genevieve Gatt and Melissa Ryan. And then to end, I'm happy to answer any questions, invite you to come join us at iAccelerate or on our website, and thank you very much for your attention this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Another round of applause, Elizabeth Eastland. Incredible. Invent, share, change the world. And I particularly like the examples from really diverse fun and entertainment with the Formula Legend. I've downloaded that, the Mexican Grand Prix this weekend, so give it a run this weekend. Health and wellbeing with yoga, and then of course the emotion that brings us all together, love and family. What a touching story to share with us. So we have got time for Q&A. And the roving mics, same recipe as earlier. So if you've got a question, put up your hand and the microphone will come your way. Who's kicking us off? Down the front here with Leighton Wells.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so I was asked by the organisers to have you speak into the mic, but I'll repeat your question. So your question was how far along the building is. So all cement slabs have been poured, all of the inside's starting to be fitted out, and we're opening May next year. So there'll be a big, huge announcement. We're going to have an international seminar for regional innovation clusters around the time that we open the building, and we're going to be inviting Geelong. So.
I obviously am familiar with your Accelerate program, and it's a fantastic program. I think it's a very good template that many others can follow. And I might have missed this because I just came in a little bit late on your presentation, for which I apologise. As part of an Accelerate program, that's the first kickstart, but then going on from there, business success for a startup is largely driven by funding or influenced by funding. Can you comment on the contacts you have or the way that funding's incorporated into the iAccelerate program?
Yeah, sure. That's a very good question. I didn't speak about it, so you didn't miss it. So we recognise that from the very beginning. A space, mentorship or education, and funding. Those are the three critical aspects, I think, to growing an ecosystem. And so we have many different ways that we do that. We have advisors coming in and talking about all of the government initiatives, and there are more and more as we go along. R&D tax incentives. New South Wales has an MVP grant, grants at the federal level, accelerating commercialisation and so on. So we do encourage using grants as much as possible, and we have a deep relationship with all the government bodies that support that. We have always wanted to encourage an angel investment community in the Illawarra, and the best way that we've done that is through our iAccelerate annual pitch event, which I did say we had last week, which was phenomenal. That's slow. I've spoken to the Sydney Angel Group. It took them about 4 years to get going. We're in our third year this year with iAccelerate pitch, but we have started to get angels investing in our startups. And then we've also partnered with Artesian Capital to form a $10 million early stage venture capital limited partnership, which has been endorsed by the government. And we're now raising that $10 million. And that's going really, really well. Now that will automatically be available to every single one of the companies that come through both the START and the advanced program. We also have, at our pitch event, we invite many venture capital fund managers down to be part of the panel. So we have Carnegie, Blackbird Ventures, One Ventures, Airtree Ventures, always accelerating commercialization, and angel investors sitting on our panel as we did last week. So we're very encouraging of our startups to access any and all funding available to them. I will say what we don't do is we don't culminate our program in a pitch to Silicon Valley. We have won the money from the state government to grow jobs locally. We are building on, I didn't go into it, but I've used Waterloo as an incredibly inspirational model, and I've done that because all of their startups have remained local. When Google invests in the Waterloo startups, Google locates to Waterloo, Canada. And so that's the kind of ecosystem we want to grow. We want to grow the investment locally and the jobs locally.
We've got time for one more question. Just down the front left here.
Yeah, thanks for that presentation. I actually think some of the greatest innovators never go to university. Do the accelerator programs have a way of capturing that resource?
So those are two questions, actually, or two comments. And I'll answer them independently, I think. The first one is, despite that myth, at the Madrid conference that I was at last year, which was it was the most entrepreneurial ecosystems in Europe, mostly in Europe, but we had representation from all over the world. There was a presentation by somebody who did do research on that topic. And in fact, what he found is high impact entrepreneurs, which he defined as entrepreneurs who create the most jobs, actually mostly have masters or PhDs. So that's a little bit of a myth. Having said that, it still does happen, and phenomenal innovation. In fact, Research in Motion, which largely built the early part of the Waterloo ecosystem, was not. He never graduated. The founder of that never graduated. So what we do is we tap in very deeply to the research and the undergraduate students at UAW. We do this by hosting our entrepreneurship club, which they're all welcome to. We now have a student-led entrepreneurship club, and the speakers they get are the startups in iAccelerate. We also have a UAW pitch event, and that feeds into the iAccelerate pitch event. The UAW pitch event puts aside student amenity fee funding, so that's a funding source that we draw upon, and uses that as cash prizes for the most innovative ideas that are coming out of, we have three categories: undergraduate, graduate, and staff. I will say the most innovative and the most exciting stuff typically comes out of our graduate research community. They've had some experience in the world, and they're using that experience to be innovative with their intellectual property.
Well, wonderful insights from Wollongong and well and truly beyond. Please join me in thanking again Elizabeth Eastland.
Thank you.
Wonderful.